There we are. Look at that. Well done, Ben Peng. Thank you.
Okay, looks good.
Right.
I'm sharing my slide. You see them?
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
I was present in 3 of the 4 leadership engagement task force meetings that Ben Peng created. And he produced all the meeting minutes that you might have received via email or you might have seen on your WhatsApp. Here are some pictures that Ben Peng also shared. So the meetings do not have a lot of attendance, but there were already present, and we were somehow all able to give our input and our feedback on what has been on what we have been doing in these meetings. In the first meeting, we came up with a list of problems that we need to solve, but we focused on 2 which I think are interconnected problems. So the first one is retaining members. Not attracting, but retaining is especially difficult, and getting members to serve as club officers. And these are interconnected because if you don't retain members, then they don't get very far into their progress to be able to be considered for club officers. And so regarding this problem, we believe that there is, so we usually say that Agora is an international non-profit organization that enables members to train communication and leadership skills. The communication path is very well defined. We have the projects, and the members can choose which project to do. They have all the goals set out for them, but the leadership path is not well defined, and we believe that this could be solved if there were an actual leadership path that could maybe end with a member becoming a club officer, for example. The second point is we need to train club officers, because we sometimes end up putting people that come regularly to do these functions, but they don't know what their functions are. I mean, their name is just there to make sure we fulfill all the requirements, but they don't act as club officers. So they're at least in Portugal, it's a little bit like that. The third point is we should give more recognition to club officers. Clubs have very are supported by the officers usually, and the general feeling, or at least, for example, Mike talks a lot about this. He's been juggling 14 clubs, and he has the feeling that if he does not show up, then the club might not survive. And well, he needs recognition because he's always there, but he always needs support from the rest of the members. They need to take action and become club officers themselves so that Mike can have a little rest. One thing that came up in one of the meetings, not actually this first one, it was proposed by Les from the UK. He says he mentors club officers. So club officers are members mentored by him, for example, because he's been in Agora for many years. He knows the functions. And we thought this was a great idea because it's a smoother transition. So the goal would be not to have members become club officers because I want to leave, but rather have members become club officers while I'm still here, and I mentor them so that when I need to leave, I won't be worried about it because I've already mentored the club officers. The club has a structure and it can survive, it's sustainable, and I don't have to be there all the time. So this was a great idea by Les. He had some documents he was going to share with us on his mentoring ideas that he's applying right now in the UK. Regarding retaining members, we suggested it would be important to have in-person meetings as well as Zoom meetings, because Zoom opened a lot of doors. Actually, a lot of clubs started during COVID-19, so they have Zoom meetings. Members are spread around a large area, so meeting in person would not be possible, but when possible, to have in-person meetings so we can get to know each other and be together and maybe away from the screens, because right now we are all tired of screens. The second point is to get a full house and invite special guests. A full house, or to achieve the full house effect, was the topic of the following meetings. To give certificates, including membership certificates and attendance certificates, because people like to be acknowledged. And I think membership and attendance are not acknowledged. So they only receive certificates when they reach a certain point in their educational path. But there should also be certificates or pins or whatever when you become a member. And when you attend, I don't know, 50 sessions, there should also be a certificate. The fourth point, award the best speaker and best evaluator of the session. I have spoken about this to the officers team in Portugal, and they thought this reminded them a lot of the previous organization. They thought this would create a competitive environment. We discussed this in the meetings, but at least in Portugal, they didn't find this to be a very good idea. Although it's sometimes, when I'm a general evaluator, I don't say you were the best evaluator, but when I find that someone did a very good job as an evaluator, I say it, I acknowledge it, because I get the feeling that, well, if I don't, then maybe the person would not be as motivated. And when you do a good job, people should value it somehow. So I don't know how to include this. Maybe not an award, but some kind of recognition for very, very good evaluations, or very, very good improv speeches, something like this. So the remaining meetings were on how to get a full house, mainly. And Koka, Ban Peng, and Les came up with several points. And in the following meetings, we discussed how these points could be implemented. So the first one is easy, to book a small room. I mean, if you have too big a room, it will always look empty. And it's important to have a full house feeling. Of course, when you do the meetings in person, you have to be mindful of the COVID pandemic and the restrictions, and it cannot be a very, very small room, but you see what I mean. Don't book a room that it's too big and it will just look empty and not warm, not inviting. So this point is easy. These two are interconnected somehow. So to hold joint meetings with other clubs and to attend meetings from other clubs. Here we need, because I've never seen this and I don't think it exists. So we need a list of clubs, their meeting places or Zoom links, and the meeting schedules, so people can actually do point 2 and point 3. So if we want to attend meetings with other clubs, we need some list of contacts, links, and schedules. Okay. To members to bring a friend. This part here, we have all talked about it, but Les advised us to be careful not to put a lot of pressure on people to bring other friends, because they may not like it. What was advised is that you just talk about Agora because the concept is inviting. And I've managed to do this with my family. So I always talk about Agora, when we're having dinner, or when I use a different word, because we have the word of the day and people sometimes don't know how I learn the words. And they ask, well, where did you learn that word? Where did you learn to speak like that? And I say, oh, it's at Agora. We have this word of the day that we must use in all of our interventions. So I end up learning new vocabulary, and they get interested. And it just talking about Agora is inviting enough, so we don't have to put a lot of pressure on people to bring their friends. We should be active on social media, but a lot of us are not well educated on social media. So maybe some workshop on this, if either one of the ambassadors is very comfortable with social media, maybe we could have a workshop on how to be active social media, on how to promote the events and to gain more members. To feature special guest speakers, and here we should, this is also related with social media. I mean, it's pointless to invite someone if we don't promote the event. To make the invite exciting, Ben Peng shared a lot of information on this. We should know the names of the speakers, the kind of a summary of their speech, their background, to make a good introduction. And this information can be used to promote the events and the speeches. So people will get more excited to see a speech provided by a well-educated person or an expert in the field. And in order for them to know that people are experts in the field, we have to tell them, we have to give them a brief summary of the speech and get them excited about coming. Then I summarized the other points that we discussed in the last meeting. To ask each member is presenting a speech to bring his evaluator, timer, and introducer. This is something that I've never done, but Ben Peng did, and he has a good experience doing it. Point 10, to ask invited guests or just people that appear to show up. They found out about Agora, they came to the session. We could ask them to be a timekeeper or evaluator, or well, to perform some session role. And Fred pointed out that it's usually helpful to remind the evaluators that everybody has an opinion. They don't have to be expert evaluators, and provide them with the simplest formula, which is well, better, and best. So what went well, what can go better next time, and what did you like best? And if they stick to the formula, they will provide a good sandwich feedback, and they will train themselves as evaluators, because in fact, none of us are experts, and we all opinions. It's just a matter of how we give our opinions. And I think this summarizes more or less what was discussed so far in the meetings, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.